Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for this webinar this evening, which has been hosted by BVDFree England. My name's Amy Fawcett and I'm the Knowledge Transfer Officer for AHDB Beef and Lamb. The webinar this evening is being presented by Eleanor Kane, who's the Project Manager for the BVDFree England Scheme. And Eleanor will be giving us an overview of what's happened in the last year since the scheme was first launched and how you can get involved going forwards. So we've got over 125 people registered for the webinar this evening. And I'd just like to thank Elena, who's working behind the scenes to keep all the technology running smoothly. But if we do encounter any technical difficulties, please just bear with us. So the plan of action is that Eleanor will give a presentation and then there'll be time at the end for any questions. You guys will stay muted throughout, but if you do think of anything as we go through the presentation that you want to ask, there's a box on the right-hand side of your screen if you just want to type them in there. So without any further delay, I'll hand over to Eleanor.
Good evening. So as Amy's already said, I'm Eleanor and I'm the BVDFree England Project Manager. So I've been working on this project since November 2016, and in that time I've really seen the positive impacts that eradicating BVD can have on a farm business. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in tonight, and I'd just like to say I feel that this is a really good opportunity for us to think about how we can really work together to drive the success of this scheme, as ultimately it is about every farm becoming free from BVD. As an industry, we've recognised BVD as a major limiting factor for the success of our cattle farms. It's a disease which dramatically impacts all areas of production, but it can be eradicated, which is why I'm here tonight talking about BVD free. So here we have a case of a BVD breakdown on a suckler enterprise in Derbyshire. And so on screen you can see highlighted in red are the impacts that this outbreak had on the fertility and also the calf health within this herd. So in 1 year they had 26 more cows which were barren, which equated to about £14,000 in losses, and they also had an increase in calf mortality to 11%, which was over £3,500. So in total on this farm from this one outbreak, it cost over £17,000. And this really highlights the dramatic impact and cost of BVD, and it can really put the survival of farms at risk. So this is an acute or a severe breakdown, but for farms where the disease is endemic, it can still really impact the herd across the fertility, the health and the production. So this was really brought home to me when I met a farmer in the southwest who was producing veal on contract. So they talked to me about how they identified a PI calf in the shed. So this was only after they'd had some serious pneumonia issues and the vet wanted to look into it to find out what had happened. So they went from a situation where they were making a lot of profit from their system. All their calves were hitting the premium. They were getting the weights of 160 kilos dead weight. But once this PI entered the shed, the weights were dropping off, and they got to a point where they were only just breaking even. So they had put all that work in and were getting very little return from it, which is quite heartbreaking to see. So many farmers and vets and supporters within the industry are aware of all these impacts and the emotions associated with having those animals being culled from BVD. So this is why we've had such great support from industry. So why do we want to eradicate BVD, and why have we got the BVD free scheme? Well, what we want from the scheme is we want farmers, when they buy, to not put their herd at risk. We want to create an opportunity for selling these high health status animals which are free from BVD into herds in England and across the borders, so into Scotland and Wales, and particularly for Scotland where there are these premiums for these high health status animals. And also, as we leave the EU, it is such a great opportunity for us to demonstrate that we have got this high health status and that we are working towards a BVD free cattle population. So BVD free was set up in response to the frustration that there was no coordinated effort to match that in Scotland and both parts of Ireland. So DEFRA had indicated that it wasn't going to consider making it compulsory, the eradication of BVD. So what they wanted was for someone or industry to actually stand up and get that demonstration from farmers that they wanted something to happen to get rid of BVD. And so it was decided that they wanted farmers to demonstrate their support for BVD elimination by joining a scheme such as BVDFree. So the scheme is a collaboration of the NFU, the Livestock Auctioneers Association, the Holstein UK Group, AHDB, British Cattle Veterinary Association, and the National Beef Association. So these 6 organisations got together and decided that because it was such a big issue for the industry, that they were going to stand up and lead on the BVD-free scheme. But there is also the support of over 100 industry organisations, and they are the reason that the scheme has got to where it is today. So all of those organisations are on the BVD-free website if you want to go and have a look who is backing the scheme. So it is a voluntary scheme in England, but this means that supporters are a really big part of it. So our challenge here this evening is how we can do more to make a BVD-free England reality. So I'll have a bit of a recap on year 1. So in total we have got 1,053 holdings registered with the scheme, and this covers 153,000 breeding cows. So within those, we have got almost 35,000 virus samples on the database. And for these virus samples, people can go onto the BVD-free database, put in an animal's ear tag number, and it should show up their BVD status. And there's also over 3,500 antibody samples on there, which are from herds which are doing a check test. And this is a great way of finding out if there is BVD circulating in the herd. And then there are also 117 herds which are part of the check scheme, which are also putting their results up through BVD-free. So here we have a map of the results from the first year. So these areas where we've got the darker reds are where the supporters are having the greatest impact on uptake. So in those areas we've got vets, stakeholders, or a previous regional BVD scheme. And that has really driven the high number of farmers which have joined the scheme. So those areas which are white on the map are the parts of the country where we need to communicate more clearly to drive uptake. But it is clear that with the support of yourselves, we can have a substantial impact in getting more farmers engaged with BVD-free. So in an ideal world, I'd like to have 10,000 farms signed up with BVD-free next year, but being more realistic, I think we'll be working towards 5,000. And so this will just help us keep up the motivation behind the scheme and hopefully drive it forward so we can get to a point where we are almost BVD-free. So with this continued support of yourselves as supporters, enthusiastic vet practices and stakeholders and farmers, we can work to get out the messages of BVD-free, and by demonstrating your enthusiasm, we can hopefully turn this map red by the end of next year. So a fundamental part of the BVD-free scheme is obviously what matters to the farmers, because that will drive the success of the scheme. So we need to be thinking about why should a farmer join BVD-free, and how can we show them that BVD can make a difference to what you're doing. So there are 3 factors that I feel are really important to this. So the first one is this control of risk, or the perception of risk. So there is always the risk of breakdown, but we need to make farmers aware of this and of how, by working through the BVD-free scheme, they can manage those risks. BVD-free, for many, is an unseen threat on the farm. If it's underlying, within the herd, then they may not know it's there. And the associated costs will be hidden. So we, as an industry, need to work to increase the perceived severity of BVD as a threat, to actually put it to the forefront of farmers' minds that there is this risk there. It isn't hidden, it is apparent. So for herds where BVD is underlying, there will be these ongoing background effects of the disease, even if it's not an acute outbreak, as we saw earlier. So we want to look at ways of reducing this risk for the farmer. So vaccination is a good control strategy, but it is worth saying that it's not effective in getting rid of BVD from the herd. So it should form part of the strategy, and if it's used alongside the BVD-free scheme, then the herd could work towards maximum protection from the virus. So the second factor is value. So we need to show farmers that BVD-free can deliver value. So we saw earlier the cost the BVD outbreak can have in a herd. And most farmers estimate that BVD costs around £40 per cow per year, which came from a Boehringer survey. So they recognise there is a value to being BVD-free. There is a cost associated with control, but the end justifies the means. So there are tangible financial benefits that are quick to turn around with a little bit of work. So we need to show farmers that there is value in this scheme. So the final factor is practicality. So you can work BVD control into your current system, and that is the way that it needs to be. It needs to form a habit. So control takes time, but it is about working to make it practical for your own situation. So for example, in a suckler herd, it may make sense to tag and test all calves, as the calves are being tagged anyway, and a BVD tag costs about £2 to £3 more than your standard management tag. Calf buyers are already doing this, as they're really seeing the benefits within their rearing enterprises, as well as all the way through to their finishing animals. And on the practicality side, if you're a dairy herd and you're bringing all your stock in for a TB test, it may be worth forward planning and actually speaking to your vet about sampling those animals for antibody for those different management groups. So as we move forward, thinking about what matters to farmers, we need to change the perceived risk of BVD on farm. We need to change that acknowledgement that it is a real threat for all cattle farms. We need to prove the worth of BVD free and help farmers find the most economical testing methods for their herd. And finally, it is about making BVD eradication practical. So tailoring control to fit each farm situation. And this is how we can make the BVD-free scheme work. So BVD-free are working with industry to help farmers protect their herds from the risk of BVD. So industry are providing great support in terms of working to make the health status of animals available at the point of sale. It's about creating a practical, simple system which works for the farmer. Our aim is to enable farmers to buy with confidence by knowing the status of the cattle that they're purchasing. You are able to do this already by entering an animal's UK number at bvdfree.org.uk, either on your phone or if you've got access to the internet, before deciding to buy an animal. So the statuses you can see on the screen are what would come up if you did enter an animal's tag number. So it would either show that it's BVD virus test negative, unknown because it hasn't been tested under our scheme, or it's BVD virus test positive. And this allows you to assess the risk of buying that animal. So if the choice is taken to buy that BVD status unknown animal, then you want to look at ways of reducing that risk, of preventing that potential spread of disease to the rest of the herd. Cost comes into the majority of decisions made on the farm. But it is worth noting that there is no fee for joining the scheme. So industry have been working to drive this scheme forward. And so Dalton, Shearwell, Nordic Star, with the help of NML, are absorbing this upload fee for the virus results if you buy tag and test packages with one of those companies. And this means that that upload fee isn't passed on to the farmer. And then Allflex as well are absorbing that 25p upload fee for farmers who buy a minimum of 80 tags, but then they'll also give you another 20 tag and test packages on top of that. So it is worth telling your farmers to ask the tag company that they're buying from what they are doing to help BVD free. And on the screen you can see that if you're uploading antibody results, then there is a 50p fee. So for farms blood sampling 5 animals pool management group for their young stock check test, the upload cost would be £2.50 for that group for that year. So if you're thinking about it in real terms, that would potentially be the cost of a cup of tea and a bacon sarnie at market. So really, what is that worth to you? And it is also worth noting that there are schemes out there such as the NML Herdwise who are absorbing that fee if you work with them. So I want you to think, isn't having a herd free from BVD worth the price of tea and a bacon sarnie? So I've already said that the stakeholder and farmer support has driven this scheme forward, and you are fundamental to the success of BVD free going forward. So our ultimate aim of your involvement is for you to work with your farmer members and for you to work with your farming friends to encourage them to join BVD free, to start testing for the disease and to report those results to the national database. And if you have got events coming up for your organisation, we want you to think about exposure for BVD free at their event. We want you to think, why is BVD free a great idea for the herd and for the country? And once you've thought about this, then it gives you some good reasons for actually speaking to your farmers and your friends and saying, come on, sign up to this. Other ways that supporters can get involved is by including snippets in your newsletters or in publications. So we are able to provide those for you, but the best articles are generally from farmer stories. So if you have got farmers that you're engaged with who are really working either to get rid of BVD or they have already got rid of it, then it may be worth speaking to them to see if you can cover their story, because it's generally a lot more interesting if you have got that to read. So we're also working with the next generation to get them to come up with ideas to spread the messages of BVD. So in the autumn, we're looking at launching a competition for the young farmers age group to create either a video or a poster to promote the scheme and hopefully get more engagement. So if you or your organisation would like to get more involved, then please get in touch with myself, because we are looking for sponsorship for that. The end we have in mind is the next generation of cattle free from BVD for the next generation of farmers. So that is our ultimate goal. But to get there, we need all herds to start testing for BVD to get to the point where they are free from the disease. And then we get to a point where England will be free, which is our win-win. The next message to take home is that we are a team. So this evening's webinar has been all about synergy of how we can work together. So it's about helping to find ways of making the scheme more effective, how it can work for yourselves as vets, as supporters, as farmers. So your feedback is fundamental to the running of the scheme and making it better as we go forward. So we're all ears open for how you think we can improve and drive it forward. And the final point is to find your voice. I've done a lot of standing up in front of farmers and vets and stakeholders about why they should get on board with BVD free. But now's the chance for yourselves, as you've seen the benefits out there, to actually stand up and say, yeah, you should get involved with this. It's a great thing. So we want you to find your voice, and we want you to inspire others to take those first steps to become BVD free. So together we can make the BVD-free scheme a success and eventually get to the point where England is free from BVD. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for that, Eleanor. If anybody's got any questions, if you want to type them into the box on the right-hand side of your screen. Just whilst we're waiting for those to come through, I'd just like to remind you that this webinar is being recorded this evening, so it'll be put on the AHDB YouTube channel, and anybody that's registered for the webinar will get that link sent through on email. Eleanor, we can see your screen, by the way.
I know, I'm just putting on the last page.
Okay, so first question. Do you know if any of the people that are supplying the tag and test tags are absorbing the cost of uploading data onto the website?
Yes, so there are 4 which are doing that. So the first one are Dalton tags. So they're absorbing it for their tag and test packages, which are being sent to the CIS lab. Shearwell are absorbing it for the packages sent to NML. So that's being absorbed by Shearwell and NML. And Nordic Star, alongside NML, are absorbing it as well. So they're the 3 that, if you buy a tag and test package from them, they will absorb it automatically, as long as you make sure it is going on the right form to the right lab. And then I spoke about Allflex. So that what they're offering is, if you buy a minimum of 80 tag and test packages, then they will absorb that upload fee for those 80, but then they also give an additional 20 tag and test packages, which includes the upload fee. So there's a little bit different, but they're also working.
Okay, great. We've just had a... Oh, go on, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
we just had another comment through just to say QuickTag and Roaxan, I might have said that wrong, I apologise, are looking at this, so they're going to make an announcement ASAP on that.
Brilliant.
Are cattle site tests eligible to be uploaded? Where do we find info on the approved labs?
So I presume you're talking about the IDEX pen side.
Kate, yeah, Kate, just confirm that, please, but carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
so they can't be uploaded to the BVD-free database. So the reason for that is we've got the tests you can use are the tag and test or blood sampling, because of how reliable they are. So the reliability of those pen side tests isn't quite as high, which is why we've said that they can't be uploaded.
Okay.
And the designated labs can be found on the website. So I have a list of those.
Perfect. Okay. We've got a question here. How do I actually get any results uploaded? SAC are doing my test, but I have no idea how to get the existing results up to you. Can you just give us an overview of how you get your results onto the website?
Yeah, so if you've got results that you've already sent into the lab and they haven't gone on to BVD Free, it's worth getting in touch with the lab and just asking them if they'll upload those for you. So it's, yeah, whichever lab you sent them to, get in touch with them and they'll do that for your results which they've already tested. And going forward, if you make sure that you're signed up with us on the scheme and it also goes in on the right submission form, which can be found on the website, and then they will automatically upload those for you.
Okay. You spoke earlier about putting individual animal tag numbers into the website and the status of the animal coming up. How does it work if the herd is doing representative samples of management groups, but not specifically that animal? Does it come up as being from a herd that's free or not free or whatever?
So not at the moment. So what we're working to do for those herds which are testing, but obviously haven't got those individual results, is we want to, when you type in, if you type in their CPH number, it will come, what we're working to do is that it will come up and just show an overview of what testing results they've got. So it will just say potentially that they've done 50 tag and tests this year, and they've also done 2 lots of blood sampling of groups. But we haven't linked it through to the individual animals yet, but that will be something that we will look at in the future, but I don't have a time frame on that.
Okay. Has anybody else got any questions? They seem to have stopped. Eleanor, is it just worth saying that if anybody has got any good case studies through the BVD Free England scheme, would be more than happy to hear about those and potentially put them out and about?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's always good to hear what's actually happening on farm. So yeah, it definitely sounds better coming from you.
Okay. The map showed some interesting spread of counties or countries, Kate. Okay, how do we engage? Yeah, how do we engage with those that are who are on the scheme, such as pedigree on pedigree schemes?
So with the checks schemes, so either the premium cattle health scheme or the high health herd care, what we're working to do at the moment is that for all those herds who are either accredited or vaccinated monitored free, it's going to be an opt-in that the health schemes will go to all their members and say, would you like to have your status on the BVD-free website? And then they'll automatically upload for them. So that will hopefully be coming in the next month. So that's for all those pedigree herds.
Okay, we've just got a comment from Derek that says you need to be registered with the BVD Free for test results to be uploaded, which I think the gentleman that was asking the question is, from what I can gather. So,
okay.
Any more questions, anybody? No? Okay. Oh, hang on. What has been the biggest obstacle for the scheme so far?
That is a good question. So it depends who you talk to. From some of the vets that I've spoken to, they've said the biggest obstacle is those herds who are already testing. They've done it themselves off their own back. So for them, it's this upload fee. They feel like they're almost being taxed on it. So in some areas, that's quite a big obstacle. And then for other people, they've said it's the fact that they feel they keep hearing different messages and about different BVD schemes. So that's another hurdle as well that we've had to overcome. So probably I say, depends who you talk to, but it's that communication side of BVD Free being the national scheme for England and people who are already being proactive, why they should get on board.
Okay. Can milk samples be used in the scheme?
So currently our stance on milk samples is following the Scottish scheme, where they can't be used to go towards a herd status. Now the reason for this is that we can't guarantee that all of the animals on your farm have been tested in that bulk tank, because there could be potential some sick cows that aren't included in that bulk tank. So we do recommend on a dairy herd to use it as a monitoring tool. So it's a really good way of seeing what is going on in the herd, but then use it also either with tag and testing of your calves or a young stock blood sample.
Okay. Can we produce a map with the checks accredited herds overlaid to see if we've got herds tested that aren't on the BVD Free England scheme? I suppose there'll be a bit of a data protection thing there, is there?
Yeah, I don't know how we can look into it, but I'm not sure, the ins and outs of how it would work.
Okay.
But yeah, it could be something we look into, because it might be quite interesting to see how that matches.
Just a couple of comments from Derek in the background. We're waiting for a link with BCMS before we can award the herd status. Once we've got a link with CTS, we can identify which animals are in which herds. Any more questions, anybody? Any more for any more? Nope, I think it's gone quiet. Okay, well, thank you very much, Eleanor, for updating us on the project. We've had great success in the last year. Let's hope it continues. And just a reminder that this will be on YouTube afterwards, guys. So if you want to watch it again, or pass it around any of your friends, colleagues, etc., it'll be available on there, and you'll get the link sent through to you. So once again, thank you very much for listening.